Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Broke Gaijin podcast, the podcast about the journey to financial freedom for both you and us. We are here in Tokyo, Japan. My name is Eddie, and joining me on this podcast is my buddy, my friend, my pal, Mr. Aaron. How are you doing, good sir?
How's it going, everybody? Hi, this is Aaron here.
How was your week? How are things going for you? Going so far?
Week is going pretty well, actually. Here in Japan, we're on a sort of like a break, a week-long break. So everyone's taking it easy this week.
It is Golden Week right now.
It is indeed. So everyone's out and about, and nice weather, good times.
Oh, beautiful! Just amazing weather lately.
May is off to a great start.
Oh my goodness, yeah. I mean, granted, we did have like a bit of rain within the beginning of the week, but
It evened out.
Yeah, it's getting in the spring. So
Definitely.
But yeah, because I was outside earlier with some friends of mine, and it was just the sun was out. It was not too hot, not too cold, not a cloud in the sky. Oh, it was just beautiful.
Ah, great day.
Yeah. And then, like, for you though, I don't know, like, did you manage to like get out and see some of the flowers and stuff that are still in bloom?
Oh yeah. I went out yesterday with a friend. Went way to the west side of town and checked out. I think there was actually a flower show there. Walked around in the park for a little bit. It was a beautiful day. Had a great time. Some ice cream. Can't complain.
Oh, that sounds really nice. I could go for some ice cream right now, actually.
Oh, yeah.
Well, anyway, for those of you who are joining us, thank you for listening to this podcast, first of all. I mean, I know we're kind of just starting out, but hey, what can we say? So, yeah, Aaron, I think for everybody who's going to be listening, because they don't know who we are, so I think we should maybe give a little bit of an introduction. What do you say?
Absolutely. We should let the people know who exactly we are, where we're coming from, and why we actually started making this podcast. Absolutely.
Oh, I agree.
So who we are.
Right.
We're two co-workers, work in the same company here in lovely Tokyo, Japan. And we are looking to share our journey towards financial freedom with you out there. That's sort of the short story.
That's essentially us in a nutshell.
That is us in a nutshell, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's who we are. We are currently employed full-time, the both of us. And we want to get to that place. Maybe we don't have to be employed full-time. Maybe we're doing our own thing.
Right.
This is our journey into entrepreneurship and into escaping that rat race.
Essentially.
So you guys are seeing us from essentially zero. And then as we go on further down these podcasts, we want you to share in our journey and hopefully share your journeys as well into attaining that financial freedom that's sought after goal for so many of us.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, because like granted, we are doing this as like tracking our journey, but at the same time, I feel like if we kind of like have a community around this as well,
Yes, that's
definitely interesting, because there's nothing out there that says we can't help each other.
Oh, absolutely. I'm a firm believer is that you cannot do things like this alone. You need a community, you need friends, you need help. There's no such thing as a solo, a solo success. Everybody who's successful had someone else there with them, no matter how big or small, in whatever way, they had someone else to help them. So with that in mind, we want to keep that kind of spirit in this podcast, and we would like to help you and help each other on that journey.
Well said, sir. I couldn't have said it any better myself. I mean, the real reason why I'm doing this is because I need friends. So,
That is another one as well. If you just want people to talk to and hang out with,
yeah,
and build up a network, absolutely. And if you just need friends, absolutely, hang out. We're always here.
Right. So, in terms of, I wanted to bring this up with you actually, because I feel like our audience should know about this, and sooner or later down the line, someone is going to ask us this. So, our name, right? So we are the Broke Gaijin, and I mean, two because there's two of us. We're both broke, so yay.
Yeah.
But it's the Gaijin part I kind of want to talk to you about. Because
So,
I feel like sooner or later someone down the line is going to ask us about that,
well, that's a perfectly valid question. Yes, the
right?
gaijin part. Why gaijin? First of all, in case of those out there who don't know what gaijin
Means
it means, in Japanese, it's kind of like a informal slangish term for a foreigner,
yes,
someone not native to Japan. They call a gaijin,
right,
like a foreign person.
right.
I believe the correct term is gaikokujin, but among gaijin we call ourselves gaijin.
Essentially, yeah.
Yeah. So that's the middle there.
Well, the thing is that I wanted to get your thoughts on this. Is, I mean, lately, it's no big secret that a lot of foreigners have been coming to Japan lately, within the past few years, more so than before.
I mean, how do you think I ended up here? Yeah.
Yeah, this is true. How did we all end up here?
Yeah.
And a lot of people are saying it's because of the Olympics that are going to happen, but whatever. The fact is that there's more people coming in, foreigners. Now, the thing is, there's kind of been, I don't know, like an internal debate among foreigners that gaijin is actually becoming oppressive. It's becoming a negative term. So the thing is, because like the thing is, it's kind of like you said, like the actual correct term would be gaikokujin. But for some reason, a lot of foreigners are taking to offense of Japanese people using gaijin to refer to them. So that's kind of one of the reasons, and I'm fairly sure that anybody who's familiar with this kind of topic is going to bring it up. This is why I wanted to kind of get your thoughts on this.
You've got to own it.
Own it.
Because once you own it, they can't really use it against you.
Ooh, interesting.
You've got to own that word. Now, I don't see it as offensive personally. It's it's kind of whatever to me. Is there some quote unquote discrimination against foreigners in Japan? Yeah, you go somewhere, members only. That really means Japanese only.
Yeah, essentially.
Or some will give you like a the culture that you're a foreigner. They try to stay away from you, but you've got to kind of own it. Otherwise, you're going to see it as oppressive, and then you become a victim. And I don't know if that's the best mindset to have. Is the perpetual victimhood because someone uses a word against you? I mean, it's a word.
Right.
That's the way I see it. I think you have to own it. You have to, because once it becomes a term of not necessarily endearment, but like a nice term, we you refer to other, when I'm talking to other foreigners in Japan, we refer to ourselves as gaijin. There's a joke about dirty stinking gaijin. I know a guy who's got some production company along those lines. So you just kind of own it, and then when someone calls you a gaijin, it's like, oh yeah, that's me.
Yeah.
So what?
I don't know, just like in a more technical sense, personally, like I don't see it as, well, I mean, I agree. Like I don't necessarily think it's offensive, but my look on it is a little bit more, I don't know. I really don't know what the word I'm looking for to describe it, but I'm just saying, because like compared to other offensive words, like gaijin has nowhere near the same history as other offensive words out there.
That is absolutely correct.
So.
That is absolutely true. Not to name any, but you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
I get why people could be offended by it, but I would say to those people that if I had to take one offensive word, gaijin's probably the least.
The least.
Yeah. Historic. It's a proper term. It's it literally, in Japanese, if you don't know, it's kind of two words. It means like foreign or outside person.
Right.
That's it.
Yeah.
There's no people take and use words the way they want to. But you've got to, if you feel like you're going to be offended by that term, I would say you need to definitely own it.
Actually, yeah, I couldn't agree more, to be honest. Because I don't know, I just feel like sometimes people kind of get a little too sensitive about these kind of things.
Yeah. Now I can see why they get offended, but I'm a firm believer in the right that you don't have the right to not be offended. That's I think that came from Christopher Hitchens. I don't know if you got it from somewhere else, but I think I heard it from Hitchens that you don't have the right to not be offended. And that's one of my core tenets is that,
That's actually very interesting. Yeah. I never really thought about it that way. Because I kind of just figured like, okay, I'm a foreigner. This is true. Like, I understand, like,
you've just made a statement of fact.
Yeah. Next, Thank you. Good on you.
Yeah. Right, exactly.
Right. So, like, in regarding to that, though, I mean, of course, like, we have our opinions and everybody else has. Oh, by the way, anybody listening to this, please do keep in mind that this is just our opinion. Like, there's really nothing we're going to be saying here that is, like, this is just our thoughts on these. So, like, we're not saying everything has to be this way, but,
This is an open forum. And if you've got something to share, please send us an email at twobrokegaijin@gmail.com, and we'll be happy to have that conversation, maybe on the air. We can talk about our differences of opinion, or if you want to agree or disagree, you can always send us an email at twobrokegaijin@gmail.com.
Wait, I'm sorry, Aaron, I didn't quite hear that. What was that again?
That's twobrokegaijin@gmail.com.
Oh, okay. All right, there it is. I thought you were saying twobrokegaijin@gmail.com. I wasn't sure what you said.
See, you were almost there. It's actually twobrokegaijin@gmail.com.
Okay.
Just correcting the record there.
Okay. But yeah, like, so, I mean, yeah, this is our thoughts and our opinions on that specific word. But there's always going to be people who are like thinking the opposite, or they have their own good points to see on the other side of you. And I don't know, like, for us doing this, do you think that we could possibly be promoting a kind of discrimination, or what? Like, maybe discrimination isn't the right word to use, but I'm just saying, like, we could be promoting kind of a negative portrayal, if you will, and using that word as our brand name.
See, now here's the thing with this word. Again, it comes back to the sort of power of words and what they can do. Now, to say that words have no effect just because it's a word, it doesn't affect me, is kind of ridiculous. People can say hurtful things. People can say hateful things. But in terms of this word in particular, you've got to think of the context in which not only we're using it, but the context in which other people are using it as well.
Right.
So the context we're using it is simply to mean foreigner, and it's just kind of a slang term for foreigner.
Right.
And I think, at least among my friends, even my Japanese friends, they use the term gaijin as like, okay, you're just a foreigner, when we're speaking English. But the way that other people use it, at least in my experience, okay, it could be different for other people, but for my experience, there's no real negative connotation to gaijin other than being not from Japan. There's no, oh, he's a gaijin, therefore this. As much. Now, that may be different when you're talking about where they're from.
Right.
So I know if you're, say, from China, you're a foreigner from China or Korea or America or the UK, as I'm from, the States, as Eddie's from. I'm sure maybe when you get down to that point, you might find some sort of negative connotations and discrimination. But in terms of the term gaijin, that encompassing word, I don't believe there is too much, if any at all, sort of like negative stereotype associated with the gaijin label.
Right.
Other than them not being Japanese and them maybe not understanding our ways as much as Japanese people can.
Right.
I could be wrong, but that's how I say it.
Okay. Yeah, to be honest, I couldn't agree more. I feel like you're just saying all the things that I agree with. But like, no, I completely agree. I couldn't really have said it any better, to be honest. Like, you took the words out of my mouth, essentially, and out of my brain. So there's that.
That's And again, please feel free to send us an email if you do disagree.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So that's essentially us. That's our name. That's our brand. Yeah. So going on to another thing I wanted to ask you about, because we kind of hit that mark. I wanted to, because essentially in the long run, this podcast is supposed to be, it's meant to be about the idea of financial freedom, and both your experiences, my experiences, and anybody else who's willing to join us with that. What, for anybody who listens to this, like, what is financial freedom? Like, what is that? Because it's not very often you kind of hear those two words put together. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I'm pretty sure people have their own ideas, but...
Yeah, let's start. What is your idea? Let's start with you, Eddie. What is your idea of financial freedom? First of all, what does it mean to you?
Well, to me, my idea of financial freedom, I got from a book. I mean, I know you're very familiar with this book, but for anybody who's listening to this, you probably don't know, or maybe you do know and you just haven't read it. But it came from the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki, I think.
One of my favorite books.
Oh, that book changed my life.
Oh, absolutely. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for that book.
Oh, yeah. So essentially, what I got in terms of the idea of financial freedom, it's essentially where you don't have to, you're not relying on one specific way of life to pay everything that you need to do. Like, what I mean by that is like, if you just have like one source of income, and that one source is being distributed among a whole bunch of different, I don't know, things that you're doing, be it entertainment, necessary bills, etc., that kind of gives you this idea that you have to, you just have to really work harder to get more money for the same process to repeat. So in order to make life a bit easier for you, or just have a higher quality, there's a way to where essentially your income can, well, actually, no, that's not the right, it's not exactly what I'm trying to say here. It's more like your income is, it's like greater than your spends, your outflow. Your cash inflow is better than your outflow.
So essentially, you've got more coming in than you've got going out.
Yeah, but like that doesn't cover my idea wholly.
Okay, well, that's at least you would say that's one of your one of the pillars.
Right. Yeah. I'm just saying, like, if you have a way to make money, like, I get the only way I can think of it right now is something like real estate or something, to where if you're making a certain amount of money from one aspect of your endeavors, that can cover an area of your spends, but you have another source of income as well, well, then that's all money that you can just use for yourself. You know what I mean? So you don't have to worry about that other kind of...
So it's kind of the rich dad sort of idea, one of his main themes, which is covering your liabilities with assets.
There you go. That's those are the terms that I was
I see. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
So instead of buying something out of your paycheck that you have to work for, you find an asset to buy, and then that pays for something that doesn't necessarily bring you an income, but
it can cover your liabilities.
It can cover it. It can cover your liabilities. Right. Okay.
That's essentially my take on it. And the thing
agree.
that could be taken, I mean, many different ways. I mean, I know I used like real estate as an example, but if for someone who doesn't like real estate, there are ways for them to do that in a different way.
There's many different ways, yeah.
Which kind of also leads into entrepreneurship. So I'm not trying to say that financial freedom equals entrepreneurship, but I do think that entrepreneurship is a way to get into financial freedom. There's multiple ways.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you could win the lottery and then you're financially free. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
that's not
You know?
necessarily
Yeah.
entrepreneurship. But yeah, no, I see, definitely see your point.
Yeah,
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 definitely
yeah.
see your point.
That's just my idea of it, and
Yeah.
that's essentially what I'm trying to go for right now. I mean, we're just starting out.
Yep,
So,
we are.
I mean,
This is day zero.
this is day zero. This is the podcast.
Yeah.
This is part of it.
This is
No?
this is part of our journey. This is day zero, and then we hope to be moving onwards and upwards from here.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As for me, when someone says financial freedom, your points, I absolutely agree with everything you said. Having multiple streams of income, buying assets to cover liabilities, but also maybe at a more foundational route than that, a more foundational level than that.
Ooh,
It's
interesting.
it's to me is not having to do something for the money.
Oh, I like that better.
It's not having to do something. So, for example, if you, like Eddie and I, we're in that situation right now where we are working a job.
Right.
We're working a 9 to 5, well, 9 to 6. But we are working a salaried job that we have to go to. And if we don't get up in the morning and go to that job, we don't get paid. Essentially,
Right.
we don't get paid. For me, financial freedom is having the infrastructure and system in place that will generate you income while you're sleeping, while you're out at the park, while you're on holiday with your wife or girlfriend, while you're taking the kids to piano practice. Something that whether you work or don't work, in that time, you are still getting paid. And from that gives you the freedom to do what you like. Now, don't get me wrong to say that you don't need to work. You need to work on getting that system in place.
Of course.
And you need to maintain that system.
Right.
But once you get to that point and you're generating enough income from enough sources to the point where you don't need a job. You don't need to, wake up at 6 o'clock every morning, drive for 2 hours on a congested congested highway to get to your work, to sit in a cubicle all day that you kind of don't like your boss, and the guy next to you is kind of annoying you with his always wanted to talk about, I don't know, the hockey game last night. It's like, I don't care about hockey, whatever it is. You can build the life that you want because money and finances are they're not a consideration in the same way that it is for other people. So you don't want to be stuck. And I think Robert Kiyosaki says the best, it's getting out of the rat race.
Now, what exactly is the rat race? Because anybody who hasn't read that book, I don't think
right.
Yeah.
I mean, the rat race is kind of like a general concept anyway. The rat race is the whole 9 to 5 job, getting up, going to work, coming home, being tired, watching TV, going, and always living kind of paycheck to paycheck or putting very, very little away. And all you're doing is saving, but you're not really earning any money on the money you're saving, except maybe the interest in the bank. Yeah. That's the kind of rat race, that kind of rut that people kind of feel they're in sometimes, where, an unexpected expense comes along and like, oh my goodness, I've only got this much in my bank account and I only earn this much a month. And I don't know, maybe the sink breaks and, there's water everywhere and now I've got to cover this water damage and that's coming out of my savings. And then I've got to make up extra hours at work to get the money to pay for it. Right. That's the kind of life that I don't want to live. Well,
I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people that don't want to live that life. It's just they're not sure.
Right. They're not sure how to get there. And this is why we started this podcast, because we want you who feel like you're in that place. Look, I'm in that place. That's why I started this podcast. I'm in that place where there's many things I would like to do. I either don't have the time or don't have the money. It's usually the time is from work and I need to go to work to get the money. So you can see you're stuck in this kind of circular thing. I need more money to do this thing, so I need to work more. But to work more, I have no time. Right. And you're sort of stuck in that cycle. Right. So what Eddie and I hope for you guys who are listening to this, and for us as well, we would like for us to all kind of get there together and share our stories and share our experiences and share what we've been doing, you know, what we've been doing recently, what we're going to do next. And we want you to generate a real community around getting from where we are now to living that financially free life.
Well said, sir. I mean, compared to what I said, that was just out of like, that was book worthy. Just awesome.
Thank you very much. I should write it down. I should definitely write
that down. But yeah, no, I definitely agree with all of that, and I think one of the biggest problems is just people's mindset on how these things work, or trying to get out of the rat race, as you so put and Robert Kiyosaki puts. And I think one of the biggest parts of that book that really inspired me, that really got me going, is that, you know, he in his book distinguishes that there's two different mindsets when it comes to this kind of thing. Then there's a poor mindset and there's a rich mindset. And the poor mindset is just, I mean, now that I think about it, it sounds a little harsh to put it that way, but, you know, I'm referencing his book. So, yeah.
Oh, just a full disclaimer: we're not sponsored by Robert Kiyosaki at all.
If he
wants to throw us some affiliate money, that's cool. But you know, we're not actually sponsored by him.
More than welcome.
Just full disclosure. Yeah, more than welcome if he's open to it. But as of now, unfortunately, not.
Yeah. But he says, like, within a poor mindset, somebody looks at something and they go, "Oh, I that's too much. I can't afford that," or that's out of my paycheck, or that's too much for me. But on the other hand, someone with a richer mindset would say, how do I afford that? What do I need to do to get that? And I think that part really kind of hit me the hardest, because I was thinking kind of like that for I had the poor mindset, as he puts, for the longest time. And just to think that, you know, just switching up your perspective on from I can't afford that to how can I afford that? That just that little switch, just that alone can be a very powerful thing.
Oh, absolutely. And it is harder than it sounds.
A lot.
I think, you know, getting to that point is a lot harder than it sounds. It's easy for to sit here and say, you know, just switch your mindset, but it does take some time to get there.
Oh,
and I think next time, this is definitely a topic we want to delve deeper into. We'll probably do it on the next episode of mindsets, how we got to where we are with our mindset now,
right?
And how maybe we can help you get there as well. Switch from that I can't afford it to how can I afford it kind of mindset.
You know what? I think that sounds like a good idea. I definitely think that's something worth talking about.
Absolutely. So I think we'll save that for next time.
Oh, is it already that time?
It is already that time.
Oh.
So we want to thank you very much for listening to the inaugural episode of the Two Broke Gaijin podcast. Thank you very much for listening. If you can, please give it a 5-star review on iTunes, or just rate it however you felt it. If you thought it was not good, give it 1 star. But please rate it on iTunes. You can find us on Twitter and Facebook. And of course, email twobrokegaijin@gmail.com. So thank you very much for listening. And we will see you again next week.
Until then, everybody.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.